everyone, and welcome to Empower Hour. That's salt and pepper that you're hearing. Thank you, DJ Tanya Katan.
No problem.
So we want to thank you for joining us. This is Empower Hour, Use Your Voice to Engender Change, and presented by Axosoft, a software company. So you may ask, why is a software company doing a creative writing workshop?
That's what I was just thinking, Trista.
I know, it's an obvious question. Well, we're a cross-functional team, and we believe that the world needs the best people out there doing good things, making change happen, and it happens through creativity, hard work, and thoughtfulness, and cross-functionality. We are also creators of this image that you can see here. It's the It Was Never a Dress image, and it's gone viral. And we wanted to keep that conversation moving regarding women being seen and heard in the workplace and in the world. And today seemed like a natural day to do that because what day is it today, Tanya?
It's International Women's Day. Yeah! It sounds like there are thousands of people in the studio with us, but in fact, so really just so you guys get a sense, we're sorry that we can't hear you, and but we're listening. And in the little studio today, it's Tanya, me, I'll introduce myself in a second, Trista, and then we also have 3 participants who will be writing in real time with you and exploring the exercises with you today.
Yeah. So this is indeed a creative writing workshop, and even if you've never considered yourself a writer or think, I can't do that, that's for other people, or you're not even interested in the arts, I don't know why you wouldn't be, but you will get something out of this, and you'll see why as we work our way through this. So I'd like to introduce both presenters today. I'm one of them. My name is Trista Sobek. I'm a content strategist here at Axosoft. I write blog posts, marketing collateral, poems, short stories, grocery lists, things like that. And one word, I'd like to share this one interesting tidbit of myself. My favorite word that I like to say is accoutrement. It just sounds interesting, makes people think things about you.
For all the people from France, you know what she said. She said stuff. This is Tanya Katan, and my background is also in creative writing. I've written some essays and books and plays and stuff like that. But for Axosoft, I am the evangelist, and I'm Jewish, so it's complicated. And I've been lucky enough to teach creative writing workshops around the world. What? Yep, True story, News at 5. Awesome. So happy to be here.
So the reason that we decided to do this is because today, as we mentioned, is International Women's Day. And what does that mean? It basically means you'll see it all over social media and Facebook, but I wanted to give you a little bit of context on what that means and what we are celebrating exactly, because it is important if you don't know. So just some quick context. It marks the anniversary. This day in 1857, garment workers in New York City just stopped working, and they picketed, and they demanded improved working conditions. What did they ask for? They just wanted to work 10 hours only and equal rights for women. So I want to read from the International Women's Day website really quick. Worldwide, women continue to contribute to social, economic, cultural, and political achievement, and we have much to celebrate today, but progress towards gender parity has slowed in many places. And the website says that the gender gap will not close entirely until 2133. So every year, International Women's Day Foundation comes up with a theme, and this year's is Pledge for Parity.
Did you say parody?
No, I said parity.
Oh, sorry. Okay, it's not funny. I'm sorry.
It's not parody. It could be.
No.
Parity, if you don't know, it's defined as a state of being equal. And in order to make a pledge for parity, you should make a pledge to be seen and heard, which is why we decided to go this route with a workshop. So this hour is dedicated to you because we know that you have something, we all have something really important to say, just simply because we exist. So we want to thank you to take the time to join us today. We acknowledge your time is important, especially during lunch, where you could be eating a pizza, so thank you. So words, they contain power. This quote is by Ayn Rand, and it's a good one to start with because she says, words are a lens to focus one's mind. And I believe personally that words have power whether you share them or not, because if you don't have a clear mind and can't navigate around things, you've kind of lost some power. So if you focus and clear your mind, you've immediately gained power to act or not. That's your choice. But you've gained something and you've taken your power back. And I think that that's really important, especially on this day. So this is my personal take on Ayn Rand's quote, which is, life is messy, but words can cleanse. I'm not really saying here that messy is bad and cleanse is good, but it makes you think clearly, and it does help you navigate the cluttered rooms in your mind. So it's kind of like when you have a 3-year-old and your toddler has been playing in the living room for a couple hours. Toys are everywhere. You have to navigate perhaps to walk somewhere to the bathroom to take a shower or something. And if you don't pick those toys up, you're going to trip and not get anywhere. So I probably have experienced that. So let's start cleaning your room and navigating so we can get you to where you need to go. I just want to lay some ground rules for this webinar. It's a safe space, so we're all about respect. So share your writing with a friend or don't. Again, this time is just for you. So just want to put that out there that we respect your time and your words. So I'll turn it over to Tanya now.
Hello. So it's so hard not to see you. Can you guys describe what you look like? Just kidding, we'll go. Okay. So here's a skinny with voice. I've found a lot of times when people are starting to write or they're deep in a writing practice and they're like, what's my writing voice? Like, I don't write like Hemingway and I don't like Joan Didion. And I think Shakespeare said it best when he said, thou hast noteth, writeth like Shakespeare to writeth. He didn't say that, but basically the point is there's no elusive, elevated writing voice. Writing voice starts from your own voice. So we're going to do a quick exercise for you to explore your voice, what comes out of your mouth, and for you to listen to it. So this is a writing exercise. It's really short. You're not going to think about it. You're just going to write about it. And the writing exercise goes like this. You're going to make a list of your verbal quirks. The words that you say, that you abbreviate, your isms. So for example, I have a friend who writes for TV, and she abbreviates all lang. That's abbreviating all language. And it's totally Maxine. She just abbreviates S. I have another friend who takes Yiddish words and makes new ones that didn't exist. So like, oi gave, that's not a word. Okay. So write down your verbal quirks, your isms, your rhythms, go. 3 minutes, go. Keep writing, don't stop yourself. Only 1 more minute to go. Okay, so just finish up with the last word that you're working on. And remember, you can come back to this later. This is just the beginning of your writing practice, not the end. Okay. So, I have to be upfront about this. Ideally, we would have a week with you. We'd have 3 weeks working with you, and we'd workshop and develop. And so this is just a sort of a snapshot or a truncated version of a writing workshop. So I'm going to move on to the next slide.
Yep, there you go.
Okay. And so now that you've found your voice or started to explore what your voice sounds like or what your writing voice can sound like, the next thing to consider is, who the heck are you talking to? Are you addressing your mom, your boss, your bossy mom? Sorry, Mom. Are you writing a speech for like 1,000 tech executives that you're going to give next week? Are you submitting a chapter to a literary agent, et cetera? And I think that this is the most important thing. I mean, if we're going to use our voice, then we have to consider who's on the receiving end of it. And that's for all kinds of writing. That's copywriting, that's memoir writing, that's fiction writing. And so one thing I'd like to share with you, my background in playwriting prepared me for listening to people and then just speaking to myself out loud. So I just want to tell you quickly about monologues versus dialogues versus soliloquy, because I'd love for you to think about your writing, even if it is fiction or nonfiction, as a dialogue. And your part is part of the dialogue or a monologue. So monologue's half of a dialogue. Dialogue implies that if there's a conversation, and when you're writing, you're just speaking, and the reader's listening. That's it. A soliloquy is when you're a crazy person and you speak out loud, like Hamlet, because he had deep feelings for his mom that really weren't appropriate. So think about writing, even if you're writing solo, as a dialogue. There's somebody on the other end to receive it. I know what you're thinking. Tanya, you sound really nice and stuff, but speaking and writing still freaks me out. Why should I even bother? I'm not going to be like a novelist. Funny you should ask. I'd like to call upon my favorite writer, activist, and poet to help us out here. Bam, Audre Lorde. When I dare to be powerful, to use my strength in the service of my vision, then it becomes less and less important whether I am afraid. And I think that this quote is beautiful because what it does is it says that this writing, this accessing my voice, is not in fact about me. It's about the person that I'm speaking to or trying to reach or trying to make a connection to. That's why I love this quote. And if you don't know Audre Lorde, please, please, please investigate her poetry, the cancer journals, all kinds of writings that Audre has done. So we're going to move on to the next slide. Okay, this is actually the big writing assignment. And I'm going to, before we get to the writing exercise, I want to give you, are you prepared for the only rule of creative writing? I can't hear you. I need you to shout. In your living room, in your office, shout now. Yes! Are you doing it? I can hear you. Okay, we're a tech company. We can hear you. Okay, here's the only rule. Ready? Don't think it F's everything up. Yeah! It's true. So thinking is not your job, because guess what? You're not the editor. You are the writer. And so when we launch into this exercise, the only rule is for you not to think. I'm going to give you a writing prompt. I'm going to set the time. And you are just going to keep your pen on paper moving or your hands on keyboard typing, and you're not going to stop and reread. You're not going to stop and edit. Everything you do is right. You're going to trust your impulses. And if you find yourself compelled to stop, you're just going to write, don't stop, don't stop, don't stop, and just keep going until you get to the next word, okay? Or I hate Tanya, she's so mean, whatever. Okay, ready? Here's the writing prompt. I want you to think about a time when you were in the workplace and did not feel seen, heard, or celebrated for the person that you are. So a time that you didn't feel seen, heard, or celebrated in the workplace. And I want you to write it in present tense, so it's unfolding right before you. You don't know what's going to happen next, okay? And in this moment, the only thing you need to consider are the senses, because you cannot create any dimensional writing unless you're accessing the senses, unless we know what it smells like in that space, what it tastes like. So I want you to consider the senses when you're writing. And that's it, okay? You have the writing prompt. When I say go, you're going to start 5 minutes. You don't look at the time. I will. Go. Keep going. You have 1 more minute. Okay, and just finish up the last sentence or few words you're working on and make notes for when you revisit it later. Okay, just stop with the last punctuation. It's really, just so you know, in real life, if we're all together in a room, what would happen is you'd like punctuate your last thing, and maybe you did this, and then you throw your pen down with accomplishment, like, oh, yes, I wrote that sentence. And people seem to get their stride on, of course, toward the end of it. So just remember, this is the beginning, and I want you to go back and read. This is part of your arsenal of writing now, okay? So it doesn't go away. So if we were in real life together, I'd say, hey, would anybody like to share their work? And then somebody would raise their little paw and say, you know what, I really would like to share. It scares me, but you know what, I'm willing to share. And so we actually have 2 people in here, and I'm putting them on the hot seat. Would either of you care to share what you wrote? And no judging, just read it through, and that's it.
Cool. Okay. Hi, Tanya. My name is Ariel, and I'm on the Secure Chat team that works really closely with the Axosoft team. And even though it scares me, I'm going to share my story anyway about when I was in school working at the student newspaper in the video department for the first time. So, my back is still sore from sleeping under the desk the night before. The dull, achy pain gnaws at the back of my mind as they stare with unimpressed expressions. Even though the digital world is eating up their jobs faster than the hungry little caterpillar, they still don't see video recording as part of their noble craft. I can feel their eyes. I break out in a cold sweat. Maybe my work is actually bad. Maybe it is all fluff. Again, I think back to the night before, struggling to cobble together my piece before this morning's deadline.
Okay, could we give her a hand, please?
Yay.
Okay, so that sounded like a totally constructed, well thought out story. And I'm here to tell you, Ariel, this morning I said, hey, Ariel, I know you really like creative writing. Would you like to take a spontaneous workshop? She's like, well, it scares me, but I'll do it. So the point is that was 5 minutes. 5 minutes, Ariel committed to writing and not editing, and she came up with something totally cogent and exciting, and I want to know more about it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to just say a few things about it. And also, this is for later, if you guys are in, if you're in writing groups, if you do any peer critiques or things like that, you know, or if you're in creative writing school, or any writing situation, you'll find that people give feedback in a myriad of ways. And one way that I like to do it is I focus on what's working about the piece from a structural perspective, as well as like what's exciting, what do I want to know more about? Because as a creative writing student, you know, when teachers would just be like, yeah, that sucks, I'd be like, well, I don't know how to do suck less. Like, how do I do that? But I knew how to do good more, right? And so some things I have to point to that were so awesome. The moment, the first image is sleeping under my desk. Nobody sleeps under their desk unless some things are occurring that the audience is like, well, she might not have a home, or she's working so hard that she needs to sleep there. So what it does is it's like an inciting incident. It puts a question in the reader or listener's mind, and they want to know more. What happened before this moment? What happens next? So you take the reader on this amazing journey. It was that image just took me right into the space. And then when she was explaining her back, I went there.
I like the physicality of it, the cold sweat, the feeling. I think you mentioned something about your stomach, or maybe you didn't, and I'm just feeling it for you. But I think the description of the physicality of being in that space really kind of took me there.
And actually, Tristan makes an awesome point, the physicality of it. Also, textually, what you did, Ariel, is not only did you put us in a cramped space, so we're like, that's cramped enough, right? She's like under a desk, but then you went even lower to your lower back, right? So how low can you get? And if this is a piece about a moment where you felt oppressed or less than, you showed us that visually and physically. So beautiful. Thank you.
And just to end cap on that, she did it without, I'm pretty sure she didn't think about all those things.
Correct.
Like she didn't sit there and go, how do I take this to the lowest point? It just happened because she didn't think.
And that's the next step. That's the after this workshop. That's the editor hat, right? Once you're the writer, you get to put on your editor hat and go, okay, what do I want to say? And how is this serving the theme? So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you for
awesome. Sharing. Okay, so we're going to launch into the second exercise. Everybody have their pens or fingers on keyboards ready? I heard yes, so we're going to move on. So this one is, okay, what if you now, at this point in time, could go back and help you in that moment out? What would you say? How might you use your voice in service of you in the past? So you can start this writing exercise in the moment after you in the past has this difficult encounter, and then you in the present comes in on her or him. Okay? Ready? Go. Keep on going. You just have a few more minutes. Just one more minute. Okay, and just work on the last few sentences, and then we're going to stop. Okay, and just stop. So I'm sorry, it hurts me more than it hurts you to ask you to stop, because I know you're like, she sucks. I was just getting my rhythm. And that's great, because this is 5 minutes and you're getting your stride on. You can write an entire world in 5 minutes, and that's the purpose of this exercise, is to show you how much you can get into writing. So, would anybody else like to share their work in real time? Would you like to share?
Sure.
Do you want to come on over here?
Hi, I'm Christina. I work on the team here. And my first story was related to the many years I spent behind the bar, where people would, as soon as I asked to help somebody or offer to get someone a drink, sometimes they would say, I'll wait for him to make my drink, or I'll get my drink from him. And that was really the most blatantly frustrating moment that I would encounter. So I guess I'll just take a stab at it.
Yeah, great, awesome.
Seems nonsensical to me, but
actually, if you want, you can read them both in succession. Would that be better?
It might be better.
Fine. So you just start from the first story. So Christina's going to read both exercise 1 and 2, and she's not going to stop to say this is 1 or 2. She's just going to read them right through. Okay?
It's Friday night and the bar is packed with happy hour people and early dinner goers fighting for a seat at the bar, yelling for a bartender's attention. It's just me and my male co-bartender, Alan. Alan is in the weeds. I'm in the weeds. Tickets are printing over at the service bar with servers who also need a drink. A glass breaks somewhere. Silverware is clamoring against plates. Cooks are screaming at each other. The chef is shouting. Hi, what can I get for you tonight? I say. I'll have him make my drink. It's okay. I'll wait. That's
just keep going.
And okay. I'll have him make my drink, they say. Christina, take a deep breath and bite your tongue is something that I'd need to hear in order for me to have a knee-jerk response to such a tasteless, judgmental statement. Look him in the eye, smile, don't smile. Let them understand that you and him are equals. You've both worked hard enough, sweated enough. No worries, I'll get it for you. What's your name? I'm Christina. They tell me their name. Have you heard that I make things just good enough for enter their name? So that's it.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, and you know what? Now, spoiler alert. So I set this up for you to have 2 pieces, 2 stories, but Christina had the impulse that we wanted, which was that you wanted to read them. You felt like they went together. So these are called companion pieces, right? And what I was hoping for, which Christina illustrated, was that that there were moments of pure connection, the stories, that it made sense. It seemed like one sort of seamless story, and that there were also moments of like amazing discord that was necessary, because they were these 2 different stories together. One thing, I'll start into the things that I thought were working very well and that I wanted to know more about. The glass breaks. you know, from that moment on, it became about sound. Like sound was so present in that space. The glass was breaking. People were shouting. It was pure, like it was assaulting my ears. It was total chaos. And then the moment before the second story starts, which started seamlessly, it was, I'll have him make my drink. And then what you do is this kind of clever, this literary device, which you distance yourself from yourself, because in that moment you feel outside of yourself. You're being made to feel smaller, and so you're like, Christina, just breathe. You're instructing yourself almost from outside of yourself as to what to do, because you can't inhabit your body in that moment because it's too difficult. I thought that was beautiful.
Yeah, and that's what I have in my notes too, Tanya, is the whole kind of assault on hearing and the breaking, and kind of you can feel that you are that person behind the bar, and she's not really describing the bar, she's just describing about what she's hearing. So going back to your senses. And I think just one last thing, that's why writing is so powerful, because it gives you a chance to be in yourself and then step outside of yourself, and that brings the power in and giving people the ability to kind of rewrite your narrative, which is such an important part in women's lives and our life here and what we're trying to do. So I really liked it. So.
Yeah, and it's a good technique. Anybody who's written memoir or like tackled stories that are particularly difficult about, you know, surviving cancer or, you know, any sort of illness or abuse or, you know, any difficult situation, a device you can pretend you're a reporter, talk to a journalist friend, and in those moments where it feels like, you know what, I'm too emotionally raw to write about it, step outside and write it as a reporter, and you might find an additional voice to that memoir or story that's really interesting, because then the reader's like, oh, she doesn't feel safe there. The reader wants to know a little bit ahead of the story what you don't know. They want to know before you. So that's a cool device to employ. This is the sad part, so if you have tissues, get them out, because this is where we sort of move into ending the formal part of the workshop and then moving into questions and answers and resources. So I want to say this about what you've got in your arsenal. I didn't say this. Somebody else did. I would never use the SH word.
The brown word.
Holy I'm a writer who is going to run a marathon. How am I going to do that? So anybody there nutty enough to train for like a 5K, a 10K, half marathon? That's crazy talk. I did it. It's the worst thing ever. No, it's actually the best parallel that I can think of. I trained for a marathon, and I trained for like 7 months. And I would run every week, and then you run like a little bit on Monday and a little more on Wednesday, and and then you do your long runs, and then you're like, ugh. And what happens over 7 months is somehow miraculously you show up at the start line, and your body just knows what to do, and you run 26.2 miles, and the worst is the 0.2. That is true. But the point being is, it's the same with training for writing. Writing is a practice. It's a process. And the more that you do it, the more that you flex your muscles, the more that you're able to sit down and write a chapter. Write chapters, write a novel. And so I'm going to give it away to my favorite human being in the literary world, bam, Natalie Goldberg. This is the practice school of writing. Like running, the more you do it, the better you get at it. Some days you don't want to run, and you resist every step of the 3 miles, but you do it anyway. You practice whether you want to or not. You don't wait around for inspiration and deep desire to run. That's how writing is too. One of the main aims in writing practice is to learn to trust your own mind and body, to grow patient and non-aggressive. So Natalie Goldberg, if you do not own Writing Down the Bones, you better get it right now, because it is the Bible for all writers in the world. It's the quintessential book on writing. It offers writing prompts like we've given and more, and she writes about writing in such a beautiful and accessible way. So I encourage you to write and to practice, and leave you with one little tip before I would say that, you know what, every week, once a week, 5 minutes, set your timer and write. That's it. Don't be an overachiever about it. Don't do 15 minutes, 5 minutes, and see what that leaves you with. And if you want to add more time, add more time. But that's my quick tip for you. What about you?
Yeah, I would say definitely be like I like how Natalie says non-aggressive with yourself. I think that that's so important, because as you're writing, you're so in your mind. Writing is such a single person experience, and it's kind of, that's why I start with, I got to pick my area up so I am clear to kind of write that. But you're in your mind, and it's kind of like meditating, which is a practice as well. So don't beat yourself up about it. Say, you know, why didn't I write longer? Why didn't I write more? That sounds terrible. No one's going to want to read that. Because at the end of the day, even published authors, it doesn't matter. You're practicing, and it never stops to be a practice. So I would also add that if you are inspired, you should go ahead and check out It Was Never Addressed, the website, which I have here on the screen, and check it out. It's full of stories by women and men alike about how they who have gone through the practice that you've done today, which is writing about a moment or just something about being seen or heard. And the thing about this website that's great is you can go up there and upload your story. You can add your own picture. There's some snapshots here from the website of pictures. If you don't have a picture, one can be added for you. So if you have something, even what you're writing today, if you want to go ahead and upload that, please, we invite you to do that.
And I'll just say really quickly, the reason why we made this page is, yeah, okay, so we create this campaign and it goes quote unquote viral, but so what? Like, who cares? But the reason why we care about it and how we maintain it is that to us it's about voice and creating a platform for everyone to have voice and agency. And so this website is yours. It's yours to use. We don't curate it, it's yours to curate. So we hope that you'll use it to share stories of success, of triumph, and of dismay, and everything in between.
Yeah. So after you do that, and after we're done with this, we will have Q&A here at the end in a moment. But if you're one of, even though we would love to read all of your pieces, and I really mean that, and I know Tanya means that too. We'd love to read everybody's. But if you are the first 3 people to send us a piece, we will give feedback and insight and some direction if you would like that. So feel free to send that to us. Also, as somebody who works on the blog, if you have any ideas about a blog post, feel free to pitch them to us, because you may find yourself writing a blog post for our blog. So that's an option for you as well.
And so just so you know, go to Axosoft.com, and there may be tech writers in the audience. So we deal with Git, we have a Git client, and we have a project management tool that's agile. So check it out, see what we're about, read previous posts from guest bloggers and from our blogger, so you can kind of get the vibe, and we're totally open for pitches. We'll give you our emails at the end.
Yeah, at the end. You'll be emailed this deck as well, so you can refer to it, and you'll see our emails there too. So again, as another call to action is keep writing. So here are some resources to keep you writing. So as Tanya mentioned, Writing Down the Bones, the quintessential Bible basically for any writer, whether you're going to keep doing this or not. It's an easy read. It's really a great read. So go on Amazon and get it. It's by Natalie Goldberg. Another resource is local meetups. So just go to meetup.com, and chances are very, very high that you will find a local meetup group of people who are just getting together at local coffee shops writing. 3 minutes, as Tanya mentioned, that's all you need. 3 to 5 minutes, just be easy on yourself and just write.
And then a couple of other resources. A Room of Our Own Foundation provides grants for women and women-identified writers, and you get for poetry, short stories, and nonfiction. So go there. They also have residencies and workshops. One Continuous Mistake, another book that's genius, and both books, Writing Down the Bones, One Continuous Mistake, you don't have to read beginning, middle, and end. You just open it up, and that's the magical chapter that you're reading for the day. Read. Oh my God, what's that? I forgot how to read. Here's the deal. Read books, read plays, read blogs, especially you guys out there who are aspiring writers who are like, I've always wanted to write a book. See what book exists that's similar to yours, and then write a different one. Bam, but you won't know that unless you read it.
Yeah, and the best thing I would say is carry around a journal and a pen, always. It's handier than a laptop. It's shorter. It'll save your back, and if you carry around a journal and pen, you'll be able to write anything at any time. So some online resources as well, as we do live in the digital age, is LinkedIn groups. So LinkedIn is not just a business networking site. It's also become very social in the past couple years, so you can join groups. Two that I personally am part of as Writers Write, and poetry editors and poets, and they have people coming on there giving you prompts about what did you write today, here's a prompt, and just starting conversation. There's an app called the Hemingway app, and this one's really interesting because, as we kind of mentioned, writing is very messy, so you tend to just kind of what I call word vomit all over your page and just write whatever you're thinking about. The Hemingway app will kind of help you clean that up a little bit of what it could look like if you want to. So it's kind of like a little editor in there, or making it sound a little bit more elegant. Grammarly, this one is for the people who are a little bit OCD like myself, who are worried about grammar even before they start. So you add this extension to your browser so you're not paralyzed by grammar fear, and it'll help you fix it, but it's very non-invasive. So it's not like something's on your screen screaming at you. It's just kind of subtly calling it out so you can go back and have it a little nice even for your first draft. Daily Page is a really nice, it's an app and a website that you can go to, and it'll email you on a daily basis. It'll email you prompts, and then you can reply in the app, so you don't have to go to another page, or you can just, if you're working on it through email, you can just reply right there, and then you can publish it and make it public, or you can keep it private. The best thing that I can say is just start your own blog. These days, it's pretty much free. And once you invite your friends to start reading about it, reading your blog, you have accountability. So you can go ahead and do that.
And I'm going to add two things. One, what's really exciting right now that you don't know because you can't see each other right now is that people are like, I've got a resource, I've got a resource, I've got a resource.
Oh,
That's
cool.
why it's important to create groups, get together 5 of your friends, share resources, start a Slack channel. So you share resources. I mean, we've vetted we've vetted all the resources we've shared with you, but this is obviously important, and people's reflexes are like, oh, I've got them. So share them with each other for sure. And I will say this about starting a blog and sharing it with your friends. I think that it is good to have 2 writing practices. One is a journal, and nobody needs to read it because we don't care. But we love you, but we don't care. Your mom cares, but she's sneaking to read it. So that's a different story. Point being is there should be a space that is just yours, just like we created today. We're not going to judge your writing. It's a space that you can just vomit out, get all the mess and the clutter of writing out. And then if you want to offer it to an audience, I just recommend that you go back and consider the audience, just like Trista's saying. So if it's a blog for your friends, what would my friends think is cool? Da, da, da. If it's a blog for a mass audience or more specific, just consider them before you put it out there. That's all. Because there's a lot of textual clutter in the world, and you don't want to contribute to it. You want to contribute good stuff that people want to read. So there.
For sure. And maybe if people want to tweet us their resources, through our Twitter feed, and
oh, that's good.
You can follow it along if you follow Axosoft on Twitter.
So at Axosoft, AXO Soft. I made it sound sexy. It's really an agile project management tool, but I'm glad I could make it sound sexy. Thank you.
So now's the time for Q&A, and as you can see, this is the page where we have our contact information. So we have Tanya's email, my email, and our Twitter handles as well. So if you have any questions, now's the time to ask them, and you can do so by going on to the page that you're following along on the webinar, and you can go into the little panel. There's a question drop down, so go ahead and write that in. In the meantime, Sina or Ariel, do you guys have any questions that you would like Tanya or I to field?
So no.
Actually, no. Well, thank you very much. Next question.
What I wanted to say was it was answered because I remember a while ago Tanya gave me writing down the bones, and I had completely forgot it, but I always think about it just as like a resource because I always would like to have access to prompts, just to get me writing, and so that would have been my question. Sure, answer.
I would have had it not been answered.
I have a question for you, Trista.
Yeah.
So how do you feel? You have a more formal creative writing background. You have a degree in it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to out you with that.
Yeah.
And now you're in the sort of the business sector, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're doing some different kinds of writing. So what are the different kinds of writings that you do in your job, and how do you think your creative writing background has helped those writing styles?
Okay. So the type of writing that I do now is I do different kinds of writing. So I would say here at Axosoft, I do marketing writing, which is copywriting for, I would say, web pages, the copy that you find on there. I've also done writing for brochures and white papers and those kind of, direct and, you're telling somebody about a product. Blog writing is something that's a little newish within maybe 6 years that brings in an editorial style. So within my journey of writing, I've been lucky enough to have that editorial where I've written for magazines, and now you just not simply but put it online. So I like to do that as well because if you work for a company like here or something, they really are interested in your voice, as you mentioned. So that's what makes blog writing and editorial writing a little bit more, not one is better than the other, but I would say interesting and fun for me to write is an editorial because it lets you to use your voice. Mm-hmm. And that's, I think, what I've learned and what I take from my degree is that really finding your voice. And it's interesting because sometimes you feel like you can lose your voice if you don't write for a while, or if you've suffered some kind of loss within your life, or you're like, forget it, I can't write anymore. But for me, there's always been the blank page. No matter what happens in your life, that page is always there, whether it's a blog page or you're sitting at home in your journal. So I always go back to that. So even at work, you come in and you're like, I don't know what I'm going to write this blog about. Right there, you turn your computer on, blank page. Mm-hmm. So even though it is daunting, mm-hmm. lots of things are daunting, but I think that's what I go back to is that blank page.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we're going to wrap up in just a few minutes. We're almost done. Do we have any questions out there? If not, we're going to let you go. We'll give you 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's the deal. We adore you. We hope that you're... Oh, that's how you roll. It's like, no, we didn't have a question. You already answered it. Hey, what?
We do have a question.
We have a question.
It's more of a comment than a question.
Hi, this is more of a comment. This is more of a comment. I'm an art historian, and I taught formal visual analysis to my students this morning. Interestingly, while I was writing for the assignment, I felt the same way. I told myself just do visual analysis in a writing sense, so it helped me.
Great. So it's kind of, I think what our commenter is saying is kind of just don't stop yourself. I think there's a lot of analysis, paralysis by analysis. So if you just go ahead and do it, just start, don't stop, and be easy on yourself. That's what helps.
Okay, so this is, of course, the best question ever. Ooh, when's the next webinar?
Wow.
And that wasn't even from my mom.
It might have been from my mom. Wait, she really is on here.
No, mom. Here's the skinny. Again, we should not be doing creative writing webinars at our software company, and that's what makes us really cool and unique. This is actually something, I'll just say this quickly. This thing called cross-functional, maybe a lot of you out there know what it is, but it's like, when you utilize all the departments within house to kind of flesh out a situation, a story, an idea. And so we actually think about cross-functionality a little bit differently, where we think about all the things that we do well, that we're passionate about, and then we don't skimp out on them. We share them. So Trista and I immediately were like, we want to do a creative writing workshop. And our boss is like, what does that have to do with software? And we're like, nothing. She's like, okay, do it. It's the right thing.
It's the right thing to do.
Yeah. And so the point being is there will be other webinars more specifically related, honestly, to our product. So again, any of you Git users, any of you Agile project management users, come to those. Yeah. Other people are awesome. But as far as the creative writing one, well, I don't know. We'll see. Spontaneous.
Yeah, it's actually an IT.
Shut up, IT! Okay, so email. So we have our emails up. Email us specifically if you are in IT or the tech realm, and we'll tell you when our other webinars are up for sure. So we'd like to thank you for taking time from your busy schedules for you, not for us, for you, and that we hope you'll continue this creative writing practice long after today. That's it. Signing off. Thank you. Take care.
Bye-bye.